Hi guys, we're here at David Brown Automotive in Silverstone, and guess what? We have a Speedback GT. Now this is the Silverstone edition, and you know, to tell you a little bit about the Speedback GT, it's a coach-built car. It's like a brand new car, but it looks like a classic car. From design influences from the 60s and 70s, you can see a bit of Ferrari in it, a bit of Aston Martin clearly in the rear section, a bit of Jaguar E-Type in the headlights. It's a beautiful thing. It's based on something that's actually quite modern. So whilst you have a car that looks like something from the 60s or 70s, you don't have to put up with its tantrums and going wrong and all of that, because basically underneath, this is based on a Jaguar XK, an XKR to be specific, because it's got supercharged V8 in the engine bay here. Now this one, because being the Silverstone edition and being a bit more sporty, has a different grille, it loses the chrome bumper stripes on this one, which you'll see pictures. I'll put pictures in of the regular Speedback GT, and you'll see the bumpers on there. It has a different grille because it gets the honeycomb grille on this one, and those kind of driving lights in the grille as well. It also gets more horsepower. This is 601 brake horsepower. The regular car gets 510 brake horsepower and a slightly firmer setup. And I'm looking forward to driving this and seeing what that feels like. It's got a couple of very interesting features. Of course, it is entirely bespoke, and you can order these. They cost starting from around £500,000. I'll put conversions in on the screen. But you can order them in any color you like, and any kind of specific requirements that you may have. They have a very nice bouquet of colors available here. And each color, interestingly enough, is named after a rock song from the 60s or 70s. It's very interesting the way they've done. There's a lot of personality, a lot of character has been put into this car. We've been having a look around the factory as well, and there's a lot of hard work, effort, and craftsmanship going in. For example, this is an aluminium body, and it's rolled by hand. Now you're thinking, does that mean it's not going to be perfect? No, it is perfect, because it's scanned into a computer design, and each panel after it's beaten is checked against that. So it's consistent left and right in every single panel, but it is handmade. A couple of interesting features, aside from the fact that, like I said, it's got a bespoke interior, is that it has, well, let me just show you something very interesting in the boot. We'll go and have a look at that. So check this out. This is what they call a Speedback, because it's got this massive tailgate here. A lot of luggage space in here. Check this out. If I open it up, that's pretty massive. And of course you can drop the, in this particular car, actually you don't get rear seats, but in the regular Speedback GT you get those two small rear seats. You can of course drop those down, and then you have space for a couple of golf bags, as you would have to have, wouldn't you, right? Then you've got this other feature. This bit here actually folds down. Look at that. That comes down. Why does it do that? Let me show you. Take this mat, which is magnetic. I can move that back like that. Little strap here. What happens? Whoa! A seat! Picnic seat! See here and watch the world go by. Isn't that awesome? And you can have these with different features. For example, earlier we looked at one which had basically a picnic set on the back of it. This particular one has got a secret compartment. Look at that. I can hide all my stuff in there. That's pretty awesome. Goes back very easily. So again, just drops back into there. That comes back here. This goes back like, whoop, that goes back like that, and then that goes down. Very nice. So what's the interior of this car like? Let's have a look at that next. So here we are inside the car. Check out this very saddle-like leather here, and there's an inscription here of the Silverstone area on the headrest here as well. It's beautifully appointed. It's very familiar, obviously, because the layout, you know, if you've had a Jaguar XKR, if you've been in one, it's very familiar, because also this bit here, this actually rises up. So if I start it up, actually let me get a close-up on my iPhone on this. And basically they've taken pretty much the interior, but they've retrimmed it in their own materials. Basically the only thing left over is this center plastic box here is still from the original car, but everything else has been changed. The electronics, the interface, although you can see the David Brown logo on there, but it looks like a Jaguar system. So starter button is here, so we'll start up, and as you'll see, that will rise up like that. You've got your modes here as well, driving modes, and you've got cup holders. You have, of course, a compartment there with USBs and all the usual stuff. So all the handy features are right there. It's all the conveniences that you expect are right there. You've got these seat adjusters here. These buttons, again, very familiar. David Brown there, and it's got Bowers & Wilkins sound system in this car. This is the, let me show you here, this is the headrest inscription that I was talking about, and just check out those seats. Now again, here you can see there's a logo in there, but the rest of it is Jaguar, that's, as is that. So it's a very familiar environment. These are really nicely done as well. but it's just beautifully done, beautifully finished. This bit here is wood and especially carved and curved to fit the door. Basically the whole of that frame is new. The door, it's a frameless door, but the outer skin is completely new. Just the inside bracket is the same, but everything else is different. It's just the hard mounting points on the body are the same as what they would be, but otherwise everything else in this is bespoke. Seating position is just like that car. It's very comfortable. You can adjust it from here. You sit low, you sit within the car, so it feels it's a sporty thing. You're ensconced in the car. You're not sitting on top of it like a big Grand Tourer. You actually feel a part of the car. Good all-round visibility, no issues whatsoever. And because of the way that the fenders sort of flare out to house those headlights, it's very easy to place it because you can immediately see where those corners are. So having said all of that, I think the next thing to do, take this for a drive. So guys, we are in the Silverstone edition of the Speedback GT from David Brown Automotive. I'm here with Anna. Thank you so much for letting me have a go in this car. And this is the sportier version. We just drove the regular car as well. This one has a firmer setup and more power, 601 brake horsepower compared to a 510 on the other one. Correct. 510 supercharged, based of course on the XKR engine. Now this car, I wouldn't say that it's firmer in terms of any harshness, it's just, it feels more solid in terms of its body control. We're on a great little road here with a series of bends on it, and it's surprising. One of the things I was saying earlier, even when I was driving the GT, is that when you look at it, it feels like a big car, almost to a sense that you would look at it and you'd be intimidated by its bulk or perceived bulk and its size. But actually, when you're in a road like this and you're throwing it around like we are now, it's actually very nimble and it's very manageable. Good grip, decent steering in terms of its accuracy and response. The ride, yes, so now I can feel that the ride is, this is a little bit more, you're having to really feel this a little bit more, aren't you? And it's work a little bit harder on it. The other car, the GT, the regular car, was actually, I would say, a little bit more comfortable in this. But certainly in terms of body control, this feels tighter. And the difference is marginal. So, but if you're more geared towards comfort, that's the car to get. If you're geared towards a sporty aesthetic, I would say, then this is the car to get. So really, the performance, I mean, they say 600 horsepower, but it's very manageable. It doesn't come on like a sudden surge. It comes on in a quite linear fashion. It's not brutal. It's sort of linear, but it's effective. It's very, very effective. Brakes are pretty decent on the car. If you're going to do a lot of track work, you might want to look at uprating them, but otherwise they're okay for normal road use. Steering is light, it remains light. It's very familiar to people that may have driven a Jaguar XKR. It did have that same kind of sense to it. Now the other thing about this car, of course, it has a completely different body. The roof line is different, so you might have concerns about visibility, but honestly, and even with that sloping rear tailgate, you might think, well, it's got pillar box opening there. But so far I've driven that car and now this car, and we drove it through town as well, and I haven't had any difficulty at all. In fact, I haven't had any difficulty placing the car at all. It seems to be quite easy to, is this the left, sorry?
Yes, left.
Yeah. It seems to be quite easy to place the car where you want it and to try and understand where its extremities are. This road that we're entering onto now, we did previously, it's a lot more bumpier, and I think I might go a little bit slow on this in this car, because I think is this car lower than the other one?
It is,
yeah. So some of this gets quite rough.
Yeah.
But it really is an experience where you find that the car, it's a familiar car to drive. It's not something that's alien or different or unique. It's familiar to drive, it's very easy to drive, but at the same time it's rather special in the sense of what it is and what it does and what it portrays. But in terms of just performance and build, one of the things I will say is the solidity factor that you feel in this car. I don't think I've experienced that before in the car that this is related to. It feels very tight, very solid, and that makes sense from the fact that there's extra bracing. They use the convertible body shells to build these cars on, which already comes with extra stiffening in the floor to make it stiffer, obviously, for the convertible package. But in this particular case, I've seen, as I saw the construction earlier in the factory, they've got braces stiffening the A pillars and the C pillar at the end, just to make it even more tighter. So there you go. It's a great experience to drive this car. Thanks so much once again for letting us have a go in this. I hope you enjoyed the review. Please continue to follow and check us out. Let us know what you think of the car and the review and anything else you like. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.